I never picture myself as the kind of person who would share personal struggles online, but right now I feel like I need to get this off my chest. Maybe some of you will understand or have advice. I'm 26, my husband Eric is 27. We've been married for 5 years, and until recently, I thought everything between us was solid. We met back in college and instantly connected. Eric was steady, supportive, and romantic, while I was more the boundary pusher. He always encouraged me to chase my passions, especially my advocacy for feminism and women's rights. Before we tied the knot, we came to an arrangement. I'd manage the house, and Eric would take care of bills and work responsibilities. Honestly, I didn't mind. Chores were my favorite thing, but it felt easier than working 9 to 5, and it gave me time to focus on what I cared about. Eric was understanding, and the setup seemed to work. He was thoughtful, spontaneous, and generous. I never questioned his love, but over time, I started to take him for granted. I spent more nights out with friends, chasing the thrill of parties, dancing, and nightlife, while Eric preferred quiet evenings at home. Instead of appreciating his calm nature, I started to see him as dull, overly cautious, and disconnected from me. I convinced myself my nights out were harmless fun. Eric, though he rarely complained, clearly felt hurt. When I'd stumble in late, tipsy and glitter-covered, I could see the disappointment in his eyes. He tried to talk to me, but I brushed him off, accusing him of being controlling or trying to stop me from enjoying life. Worse, I used my feminist beliefs as a shield. Anytime he raised concerns, I twisted his words into misogyny, using my ideals as a weapon to silence him instead of listening. I was so fixated on my own freedom that I didn't notice the cracks forming in our relationship or how much damage I was causing. Then came the night everything boiled over. We had a date night planned, but I ditched it to go clubbing with friends. Eric was upset. He had been looking forward to spending time together, but I accused him of being sexist for not supporting me. He gave in quietly, but I could tell it stung. As I was getting ready, I put on a revealing red dress. Eric asked me to change, saying it was too provocative for a married woman. I didn't hear concern in his voice, only control. I snapped back, arguing the dress wasn't inappropriate and that he was being unreasonable and old-fashioned. The fight escalated quickly. When my friends arrived, I stormed out without another word, leaving him standing there. In the car, I felt both triumphant and angry like I had won. But deep down, something didn't feel right. When I came home later, Eric was gone. I called and texted, but he didn't reply. He eventually came back the next morning, but he was distant. No yelling, no anger, just cold detachment. He went about chores silently, and then out of nowhere, he told me we'd be renewing our lease. That stunned me. We had already agreed we'd start house hunting once the lease ended. His sudden change made no sense, and when I pressed for answers, he stayed vague, just saying something had come up. A few days later, he dropped another bombshell. He told me I needed to get a job. I was floored. He explained calmly that if I wanted independence and equality, I needed to contribute financially. He accused me of abusing feminism, of hiding behind it to excuse disrespectful behavior. From then on, he said everything, bills and chores, would be split 50-50ths. This was not the Eric I knew. The man who had always been accommodating was suddenly firm, serious, and unwilling to carry everything alone anymore. I felt shocked, guilty, and angry all at once. His words forced me to confront my hypocrisy, but instead of seeing it as a wake-up call, I resented him even more. Reluctantly, I started job hunting. Through one of Eric's connections, I landed work at a restaurant, but I hated it. I looked down on the staff, acted entitled, and convinced myself Eric had pushed me into it as punishment for being a feminist. Meanwhile, resentment grew. Every time he asked me to help with chores or suggested saving money, I saw it as control. Our arguments escalated. I accused him of being a misogynist and dismissed his explanations. I was so wrapped up in anger and pride that I couldn't see how much I was pushing him away. Looking back, I realized how toxic I had become. I was more interested in being right than preserving our relationship. But at the time, I convinced myself Eric was the problem. Eventually, I started seeking validation outside our marriage, through flirting and dancing with other men when I went out. I told myself it was harmless, but I knew it was rebellion. I never confessed because I knew it would hurt him. Instead, I pretended everything was fine. That illusion shattered when one of my friends told Eric the truth behind my back. When he confronted me, I denied it, then tried to blame him for not meeting my needs. But he didn't buy it. He told me he wanted a divorce, that he'd been considering it for a while, and this was the final straw. When he kicked me out, I was devastated. Returning to my parents' house was humiliating. They were disappointed but let me stay, and I felt the full weight of my failure, toward Eric, toward them, and toward myself. The divorce was straightforward. No kids, no joint debt, no alimony. Eric stayed firm. There was no going back. Meanwhile, I struggled to find work, my skills lacking, and my pride shattered. My parents started hinting I should contribute financially, which only added more pressure. Now, with time to reflect, I see everything clearly. My resentment and lack of respect poisoned our marriage. Every time I dismissed Eric's feelings, every fight where I weaponized feminism, every selfish decision, it all pushed us further apart. I took him for granted until it was too late. If there's one thing I want people to take from my experience, it's this. Don't let pride and disrespect ruin your relationship. Be honest. Appreciate your partner. Don't assume they'll always stay no matter what. Because once they're gone, all you're left with is regret. Things are tough right now, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. My family support means everything, and I'm determined to rebuild my life. But I'll never forget the lessons my mistakes taught me.